On today's program, in Nigeria, the governorship aspirants under the platform of the All Progressive Congress in Ondo State have raised the alarm over political violence in the state ahead of next month's governorship primary elections of the party. Also, at some point, we will switch gears to South Africa, where South Africa's online election dialogue is intensifying as insights shed light on emerging concerns and key points shaping the electoral narrative. Welcome to the conversation. I am Dakwo Adigboyi. Let's talk. The governorship aspirants under the platform of the All Progressive Congress in Ondo State have raised the alarm over political violence in the state ahead of next month's governorship primary elections of the party. Now, the party's primary election has been slated for next month, and no fewer than 20 aspirants have declared their governorship ambitions in the ruling All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party in the state. They said that President Bola Tinubu's visit to the state was turned to a theater of violence, with their supporters attacked and their billboards defaced and pulled down by thugs. Femi Lawson, a National Secretary of the Campaign for Democracy, joins me in the studio to discuss this development. Femi, thank you for your time.
Good evening.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Now, interesting times in Ondo State, but this recent, development or news coming out of some quarters is rather disturbing, given the fact that we know that the drama that happened, after the, very unfortunate and untimely passing of the governor, talking about Rotimi Akeredolu, and, the handover to the deputy who is now the governor of the state. And now the deputy is also saying he's interested in running for office. I mean, all of this drama, one at some point thought that the storm, was calm, yeah. It was steady. But this development right now seems worrisome. What's your take? What's your perception of the whole event?
In all fairness, whenever it's political era seasons like this, there's always tendency for politicians to bring all sort of narratives, but we must be conscious as citizens, and particularly as media too, to understand that politicians will always speak to their advantage whenever there's a contest. What is happening in Ondo State today is not strange, it's not alien, because this happens in most places where elections are to be held, especially when it's a competitive one, to the extent that as we speak we have about 25 people aspiring for the ticket, of the governing All Progressives Congress in Ondo State.
20?
To about 25.
25?
Yes.
So it's even an upgrade from the 20, that we...
I think I just came in from Accra this afternoon, and I can tell you clearly that it's purely one of those usual alarms that have been raised by politicians, especially when you look at the character of the person who is now the governor of Ondo State today. If you look at his trajectory from the time of being elected deputy governor, even throughout the period that he was denied of a lot of democratic responsibility, constitutional responsibility, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa is not known to be associated with violence. But sometimes when politicians find themselves disadvantaged in contests, like it is almost glaring, if you get to the streets of Ondo State today, the popularity of the governor is beyond his party. I'm not a member of the APC, but I can tell you for free that the governor is so popular even beyond his party. So this may have constituted some threat to those who are aspiring to contest this ticket for him. And I think, and you see the visit of the president, a lot of them ascribed to that, they were prevented. I saw not less than 2 or 3 of those aspirants present during the visit of President Bola Tinubu to Ondo State. And like you understand the protocol, whenever the president is visiting a state, it is usually the business of the security agencies attached to the president, the protocol department of the president, to determine who and who comes near the president, sees the president or not. Even though the president was visiting Ondo State, there is no way the governor would have prevented anyone And you see, the arrival of the president was televised. His itinerary in Ondo State was were all televised. His visit to the palace, school children on the streets of Owo and the likes. Then you begin to ask, has there been any visual, as we speak, whatsoever, either at the airport arrival, either at the places visited by president, where a single person was shown to have been prevented from, welcoming the president, or even shown to have been attacked? These are mere makeup, by politicians who think who were not really comfortable by the, the kind of popularity and the acceptability of the government, especially the way the people of Ondo State welcomed President Bola Tinubu, and the way, they eulogized Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa during the president's visit. So I know a lot of politicians will not be comfortable with it, but it is natural for politicians to be uncomfortable with the popularity of the opponents.
You made reference to the character, the person of the governor. That's Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. I would like you to sort of shed more light on what his personality seems to be like, and particularly when it comes to reactions to situations like this. I mean, not much was known about him until the recent, very unfortunate events that happened to the governor, and then, the name, became really visible, in people's faces. Thank you.
Let me pick it up from one of your words, that not much was known about Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. He's not the conventional, politician who wants to be seen at all costs, even at the peak of provocation, at the peak of, the moment that even his principal, his then principal rather, late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, gave responsibilities, had trust in him. People who has no legitimate mandate, people who are non-state actors, were seen openly provoking the then Deputy Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. But at no time, not at a single time, did you find him making provocative statements, resisting some of these attempts, which even were considered illegal. And we had instances that even when there were attempts, in his local communities, one of the persons who have raised this issue of an attack on opponent is one former representative of our state in the NDDC, Benga Edema. He has served the people. He was also opportune to head the State Oil Producing Community Commission. And I can tell you that, somebody who was there performed woefully, poorly, to the extent that, at some point in time, during public functions, the citizens don't want to see him. In one of the instances, I can tell you for free that it happened in his own community where he was almost lynched. It was the same then Honorable Lucky Aiyedatiwa who rescued him from the mob. He has, and if you go to his community, if he goes to his place of works, where he has worked, and those he has interacted with, he's a peace-loving person. He has always been an advocate of peace. But how
would you describe his relationship with his late boss?
Very cordial, and even when everyone, of those who conspired to get him out of office illegally and all sorts of shenanigans that we witnessed in Ondo State were at work, you realize that not at a single time was anybody able to produce a paragraph of statement or a minute of visual where late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu ever made any negative comment about his then deputy? Or was there any time that his deputy... How
about the relationship with the former First Lady?
No, you see, no, the First Lady is not an elected official of the state. And Mr.
She's well, you can call her an unceremonial.
She was not an official. She was not an official of the state.
Maybe not, an elected, but she's a ceremonial. Official of the state by extension of her late husband.
Of course, she was respected, and she's a respected person.
How was her relationship like with the now governor? That's Lucky.
The governor now enjoyed a very cordial, smooth relationship. He has the confidence of his former boss. But there is
okay.
But for the wife, that may I normally want to reduce that to personal issues or domestic affairs because they have no bearing whatsoever on the fortune of the people of Ondo State. People that have been elected, yes.
But we saw, a lot of drama. You even said it, that people conspired, you know, against
yes,
the now
well, you are
they
very
must have had some sort of, anchor or confidence from...
You're very correct.
You know, from someone.
We saw a situation whereby a lot of non-state actors, including the woman you referred to, and people who even had no elected responsibilities, were acting, you know, insulting and denigrating even the office of the deputy governor, even when he became the acting governor. But that nonetheless, as the people of Ondo State, we were never interested in some of those shenanigans because we focused on the goal. We elected Governor Rotimi Akeredolu alongside his deputy then, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who is now the governor of Ondo State. So we're more interested in the people that we have given the legitimate mandate of the Ondo State people, not people who are opportunistic around these people and want to disorganize the state. And of course, as God will want it, everything became settled amicably. And of course, the state is moving forward.
What do you mean by opportunistic?
No, people took advantage of the ill health of the then governor, a very courageous...
Would you want to say the former First Lady too did so?
There were more than the First Lady. A lot of people who even had no responsibility being in the government house were all over the place calling the deputy governor all sort of names, but he was never provoked.
Now, let's look at the primaries right now. 20, you said 25, you know, aspirants all gone in for one seat.
Ticket, yeah.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why is it now? Well, I mean, if the governor was, the late governor was still alive, would you want to say that you'd have this amount of aspirants running, you know, to sort of replace him? No,
Ondo State is a peculiar state when you talk about politics. It is not usually a state, if you go to our history, when even if the governor had been alive, you can just sit back somewhere and anoint a candidate. Even as a sitting governor in 2016, people contested against late Governor Akeredolu for the party's ticket. So in Ondo State, our people are very politically conscious, and we have a lot of brilliant minds who are in the political class in Ondo State who are capable of running the affairs of the state. That may have been necessary for the increasing number. It's not impossible that we have more people joining the race in the next few days. But what is most important is that Ondo State, for now, deserves a leader that can stabilize the polity after the old turbulent period that we experienced. And of course, one of those persons, if not the only one for now, that the people have come to realize is the incumbent Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. And that, why did I say this? His popularity as we speak has gone beyond his acceptability within his party. It's a street popularity. As we speak, people even in the major opposition parties are rooting for him to be re-elected as the governor.
Individuals in the opposition party. Would you like to give us...
I can't be mentioning them, but
I mean, that's generic.
No, you know, it's politics. Let me give you one thing that is endearing him to the people. His politics is very unique. He's not the kind of politicians who deals or relate with members of his political party alone. As I speak with you, even the cabinet as currently constituted, he has gone out to search for professionals. For instance, the new Attorney General of Ondo State was not a practicing politician, Mr. Kayode Ajulo, SAN. He has gone to the civil society, people like Olamide Falana, to bring out hands that can work with him. He has also gone into the political circle. So he's the kind of governor who is interested in enhancing the potentials of every citizen of Ondo State. And that is what makes him more popular and acceptable among every other aspirant that are going in for the seat as we speak. Only God knows what can happen tomorrow.
I mean, the picture that you've painted shows a governor that, sorry, I might be a bit poetic right now, is sitting on a throne of thorns. Because you said it's surrounded by some individuals who may want to serve as distractors. Now, my question to you is this. Don't you think that would rub off, you know, on the quality and credibility of not just the primary elections, but the general elections too?
No, it will not. When the people around the governor, as we speak, there are no issues. What we are seeing or witnessing are politicians within his party, whom you can't totally take away. So
that's enemies at home?
But no, I'm very confident, like we have had in the past. In the past, people contested against late Governor Akeredolu, and immediately the primaries were over, they came, embraced, a lot of them donated their campaign vehicles, their campaign offices and materials to support. I'm very optimistic that whoever wins the ticket of the party in April, which is likely to be Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, will get the support of every other members of his party in order to win the general election.
I mean, that's. I'm still going to go back to the former, First Lady of the state, talking about Betty Akeredolu. I mean, from perception and some of the body language and some write-ups that we've seen. Even there's one currently trending where she took a swipe on a relative of the late governor who supported Lucky Aiyedatiwa. That's to tell you her side, when it comes to all of this, political drama happening. How influential or how much of an influence would you say the former First Lady still has on the politics, in Ondo State when it comes to, will I call it, select, of course, elections and, of course, maybe appointments and determining, the course of events there politically?
Well, I don't see her as being so influential beyond maybe a non-governmental organization with a sense of responsibility. What determines who governs Ondo State in most cases from our history is not even usually your political party. It is the ordinary people. Ondo State.
So are you saying she hasn't commanded so much, will I call it, influence, particularly from the grassroots to... No,
not at all. She's not even a known politician in Ondo State. All her influence was her position as a wife of a former governor, and she ran, a non-governmental organization, which I think may have been retired to a private arrangement or office now. But when talking about governance, street credibility, popularity, or elections in Ondo State, it is usually the ordinary people of Ondo State that determines who governs them, and that is on the record.
What do you think, is responsible for the perceived, cold rift between the former First Lady and the current governor?
But I cannot really say, because as far as I'm concerned, even people who came out openly to oppose the governor while he was deputy and acting governor, including members of the assembly today, the governor has embraced all of them. You find them around him. He has, even after resuming office, given support, to members of the House of Assembly, made provisions for the leadership of the House of Assembly, and you can find them bringing their constituents on a number of occasions to throw their weight behind this administration. So the governor, you cannot really say anything on his side has been the reason for whatever is perceived as the hostility towards him by the former First Lady. She may have a personal reasons, which as I speak, she may not have been able to dispose to anybody, because as we speak now, there has not been a time, like I told you, that our late husband ever spoke negatively against, the now governor who was his deputy then. And, people may have their personal anger within them, but sometimes difficult to export. If it's about the issue of governance, leadership, integrity, and credibility in office, I don't think she has anything that she can hold against the now governor, Lucky Akeredolu.
Why do you think so? Is it because, some have said, is it because she's not, she's from a different tribe? No, we don't do that in Ondo State. Every Nigerians are welcome in Ondo State. Yeah, and she has been married to an Ondo State person for over 40 years. So what else do you need to qualify her as an Ondo State person? Okay, let's talk about the APC right now in Ondo State, the ruling party. How united is the party, ahead of the polls? The party looks, united ahead of the general election. But like I said, because you have a large number of aspirants, it may look like there are divisions, not within the structure of the party, but by individual interests within the party. And I think the party should have the capacity from its parent body, the national to the state, to harmonize some of these opposing interests as soon as they conduct their gubernatorial primaries in April. Now, going back to, of course, that report that we, of course, read in the beginning of the show, would you say the president's recent visit to a very large extent helped heal, if at all, pending wounds, as a result of, the drama that happened after the former governor got sick and, unfortunately passed on? Or did the president visit further expand the lacuna within the party structure in the state?
The president's visit was very significant to the extent that it brought some level of confidence to the new leadership that is in governance in Ondo State. It shows that there's proper communication and relationship between the new administration the administration in Ondo State now and the president. Ultimately, it was also an opportunity for the president to assert that there's a new sheriff in town, because a lot of those people have not been able to come to terms with the fact that there is a new leader in governance in Ondo State. So that further affirmed it. But like I said, ambition is currently responsible for whatever has, even what most of the reasons why we had all those tension during the days of the sickness of our former governor and the events that followed were not because of issues of governance in Ondo State. They were basically because of the individual ambitions. Somebody who wants to be anointed, somebody who wants to be appointed, and all sort of scheming and characters. So it was basically because of these ambitions that has led to this same alarm that we just read out now. So, and I'm very sure that by the time all these are over, there'll be stability. People will come to realize that we are all Ondo State people. And I'm very sure that a lot of these people who are taking up the gauntlet will surrender and, support good governance in Ondo State.
All right, now let's look at some of the legacy projects of the former governor, right? One of them, of course, is the Amotekun.
Yes.
The Amotekun Corps, which we saw, come out during the burial ceremony of the governor, in full regalia and display, and quite a number of other projects like that. Do you see the current governor continuing, some of these legacy projects, even though they were together, right? But right now is at the driver's seat. Do you see him continuing many of these legacy projects, or maybe charting a new course entirely?
Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has made this commitment on a number of occasions. I was listening to his speech at the convocation of one of the state universities in October earlier today, and at every given opportunity, he has expressed his willingness to continue on the legacies of late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. And whether anybody likes it or not, Amotekun is one of those legacies that generations even after ours will come to learn about, to read about, and to learn about how Governor Akeredolu dared every consequences to ensure that Amotekun came into being. And that is why when you write the history of Governor Akeredolu, you cannot but complete such history without putting that virtue of courage, that Governor Akeredolu possessed. And since assuming office, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has continually emphasized that he will continue on the legacies of his predecessor, not only in character, but by ensuring that every project and ideas initiated by his predecessors are followed up. And if you go to Ondo State today, a lot of projects that were ongoing during the tenure of Governor Akeredolu are now being completed, contractors remobilized to sites, and so it is not like this administration is coming and trying to chart its own course, deviating from what, this is a continuation of that mandate given to them in 2016. So the current governor is doing a lot in sustaining these legacies, and I'm very sure that rather than deviating, the governor should be looking at improving on some of these, record achievements of Governor Akeredolu while he was here in Ondo State.
Now, I mean, let's look at the primaries itself. Should the primaries happen, and eventually, this has just been, speculative. The current governor is not picked as the sole candidate. Do you see a governor saying, you know what, in the interest of peace and sportsmanship, no problem, I congratulate the new flag bearer? Or maybe the governor would have alternative plans, maybe change party?
No, I don't see him as that kind of politician who is so desperate to contest elections, even though he will contest, like he has declared. We have seen it in Lagos, where an incumbent was defeated at the primary when Governor Hakeem Nwambode was. So it won't be the first, even if it's not picked by his party. But if it is on the basis of the current reality in Ondo State, within the party and on the streets, he will definitely pick the ticket of his party, because it's like the surest person that can win the general mandate of the people of Ondo State for the party in the forthcoming election based on his current rating.
All All right. Really interesting times in Ondo State. But let's go on a quick break now. When we return, of course, we will be considering matters arising in Ondo State ahead of the party primaries, of the ruling party, All Progressives Congress. Stay with us. This is still the conversation, and of course we've been discussing matters arising in Ondo State, particularly as regards the coming primaries of the ruling party, All Progressives Congress, where there are speculations that there might be, some degree of violence. It's just speculations, but this, of course, are issues that we decided to bring to the front burner to discuss and clarify. And we have the National Secretary of the Campaign for Democracy, Femi Lawson, who, of course, has been on the program, trying to make sense of all of this development. Femi, thank you for your time.
Still my pleasure.
Interesting times. I'll still repeat in Ondo State. We'll just, of course, stick around and follow the story, particularly as regards the primaries, across all political parties into the main election itself. But quickly, before I let you go, what would you consider the priorities, the key things that you feel residents and indigents of Ondo State need at the moment in terms of whether policy initiative or commodity?
Well, fundamentally, our state has experienced a lot of security challenges. One of the reasons that gave birth to the formation of Amotekun, which is probably the most effective in this region as we speak. The core has been very effective in Ondo State. So our people need an improvement in security because at some point, our people in the northern senatorial part of the state have been prevented from accessing their farms by militias who were overriding our communities. But, the security agencies have been doing a lot of work, the police, the Amotekun Corps. Our people want an improvement so that we can, Ondo State being an agrarian state, we can return to farm. Then secondly, the current economic hardship being experienced in the country has not exempted Ondo State. So we are looking at a government that will create more jobs and job opportunities and create an atmosphere where private investment can come in. Ondo State used to be an industrial state in the days of the Oluwa grants, the ceramic, the cocoa industry. So we are looking forward to a return of the state to the path of industrialization, which is very key in developing the economy of the state.
All right, Femi Lawson, thank you so much for your time and also your insights on events in Ondo State. And we deeply appreciate your contribution. Once again, thank you.